they accomplish all those things. And the one guy drives endurance race cars, so he does like the 24-hour races. He's one of the drivers in 24 hours, and he codes. I'm like, dude, I have a hard time with my bicycle and I can't code. So it's the people. It's that what they've been able to make. It's nothing to do with Basecamp. So I think Basecamp's okay, but it's like boards with comments on them. I don't.
So what's amazing about Asana? Other than email integration?
It's free, so that's very helpful. It's like a freemium model. There are other products. There's like Trello and a few things. Asana just kind of works for me. It's like it's the way I think of. Like for me, my main Dropbox folder has like 17 folders because I'm anal, right? So it's like photos, 2012, Rika, right? Like I can't do photos. It would just drive me batty, right? So I like that kind of taxonomy. So Asana is people, projects, tasks in the projects. And I can click on people and see what they do, or I can click on projects and see the people. And then every time someone does something, it comes an email, and then all you have to do is reply to the email, and that automatically goes back in. And they've done some pretty ingenious stuff. Like if I, in iOS Mail, just normal mail, drop a photo, into the mail client, that'll show up as an asset inside of Asana because it'll pull it from the email. So it just works. It's light. It's easy. Their mobile clients suck. I think they're terrible. I don't use them. So I use the web and the email version of it. It just works. I'm sure there's other products. It's not like it's the only one, but it's worked for me. Most people that I say try it, they tend to like it works for them too. So you guys don't use it, right?
You do. I hate it.
You hate it.
It makes my brain hurt.
Yeah.
So just a quick show of hand, how many of you guys use Asana down here?
How many have heard of it?
Heard of it?
See, a lot of people don't know it, right? Yeah, see, so a lot of people don't know it.
How about
And it's a
things-
premium model, so it's easy to play around with, right?
Yeah, how about things like Trello? Any one of you guys use it? Not that much.
Huh?
I looked at it.
Yeah.
Actually, I have gotten a couple of feedback from people who are in startups over here in Singapore. It feels like people like Asana for more of the project management side of things, but sometimes I speak to the coders, the really, really hardcore gigs, programmers. They like they like Trello so much. I have no idea why. So if any one of you guys want to share this with us,
Imagine
Probably
because
not.
it doesn't hold their ass on fire.
Yeah, I think I don't care if it works for them as much as it needs to work for me, right? And that's because I'm the one that's got to look at the overall pieces and see them. They don't actually have to do much. In fact, they're not even the ones putting a lot of the stuff in. They're actually pulling one off, working on it, seeing my comment thread on it, and then checking the task complete. So they might go off and do other things to manage. So they're all big on GitHub. And for them, that's how they see the world. It's GitHub, right?
Yeah.
So, and I follow them in GitHub just for fun, but I need the task management. They want the code management. I think it's a nice intersection. So I'm big on like Asana. I use Evernote. I've used Evernote for a long time. I've used Dropbox for a long time. In fact, that's all I kind of need. So I can just go to a fresh computer, log into all those services, and I'm done. I don't keep much on the machine, right? So, I'm always kind of trying to find something for to do, because I think that's different than tasks. I even tried to use Asana personally, but it was too much. Like the world just sucks at to do apps for me, because I end up having that problem of just the stuff.
Evernote for that?
I don't. I know they have it, but I don't like the way it does it. So some people use it. Yeah, I don't know. That's the one thing I always struggle with. Is
Yeah, I play around with a lot of to-do apps, but every time I download a to-do app, 2 months later it's got too many to-dos.
yeah, and I've never gone
to the
back
next
and checked them out.
It's
Yeah.
a different world.
It's definitely a problem.
It's a very crowded market as well.
It is, but there's tons of apps, so I just never like. It's like calendar apps.
exactly.
I've actually reversed our workflow, production-wise. I'm still analog in my notebook, because I'm old school like
Yeah.
that. But I don't ask my staff to do, we used to use Basecamp, we tried Asana, none of it really worked. I work in content and I work in production. And we actually use something really, really lightweight called I Done This, or I Done That. And it's a simple email. Every day at 5:30 they get an email, every one of my staff. And they say, and the email says, what did you do today?
You write it out.
and then they just type an email, and then it gets aggregated, and at 8:30 in the morning, the next morning, I get an email that tells me what everybody did. So I actually have a pulse of what happens. We don't do to-do lists. We do a whip every now and then
Yeah.
as we need it, right? We do one whip every 2 weeks. It's kind of a red, green, yellow type of situation, but none of I'm trying to get everybody to spend less time in software to manage their time and more time actually working.
Yeah. I think the one thing that and I'm sure if none of the school people came because maybe they didn't want to use as examples. Actually, a lot of them already are on holiday because Easter's in a couple of days, so they're leave early, right? So I'm sure they would have different opinions, right? I'm sure they would say, Michael thinks all this works great. It's a freaking nightmare. I don't know. They might, right? But they're all here. The guys that have been here almost here are all here, and we do cool things. And even when I'm nervous, we kind of have one-on-ones. Everybody's like, "Oh, dude, we're having a great time," right? Like, but I'm sure they struggle sometimes. I just don't see it, right?
Yeah, but I think you hit the nail on the head. You can have any color you want, so long as it's black.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you kind of have to do some of that, and then we do butt heads, right? And I think sometimes it happens between what like the creative guys want from what they vision something to look like versus what the coder. So we do butt heads with the coder says, this is really hard where someone goes and draws pictures and then they say code it. And the guy's like, it's not that I can't do that, but if we would have kind of talked about it, I would have said, move the picture over to here because one of the things we're trying to do with our new stuff is it's all responsive. So everything we're doing now is if you pick up a device and go to it from a URL, it works, right? And then we push you to the app if you need to do something because some of our stuff can only be done via the app. And it's a big experiment. It's going to be kind of cool. One guy's been able to pull it all off. This is a guy who can do front and back work. He's really amazing. But one of the things that we're all struggling with, and I'd be interested to hear is we're having a very tough time to organize idea creation. So one of the stresses that I have as like the product guy is it's kind of like a given that I'm supposed to always have the next idea. And I'll tell you, like I have weeks where I'm like, I don't have anything. And I'm like, well, Starbucks help, will that come each time out? And I'm sitting there, and literally I'll have a couple weeks of like awesome curated Spotify list because it's helping me to keep my mind on the fact that I can't figure out what the next thing. Now, not that we know that there are things to fix, right? How many people know? You always have like, we know the Android thing's got to fix that, and we know this thing came out from Facebook. So it's easy to have this stuff. But the general, I don't know how many books are on my shelves about ideas. It's a real struggle to kind of, because I actually think it's easier for people to get out of this problem, right? So a lot of times when the developers don't agree with stuff, I'll say, hey guys, guess what? You think of
Do you know what the solution to that is? Go out and talk to customers.
Yeah, we do, right? I mean, because we get so much email. So in fact, a lot of what's happening. Yeah, you could. I mean,
but physically talk to them because the first thing you learn is people don't use your app the way you think.
Oh yeah, and we've learned that pretty quickly. So
and the way they use it is that'll give you an insight in terms of what the next idea we use.
The problem, you know why that one doesn't always work for me? Because they want these things that either are impossible, right? Or they're just dumb ideas, even though they think they're great ideas. They're good for them. They're not good for everybody.
But I mean, come on.
But I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. It happens a lot because we actually, and I think, it's something I think a lot about. But I also think that what I mean from this is not that I need other avenues for ideas. I actually want to be able to create a culture internally where the team can have ideas. What I find is that's just really tough to do, right? Because they're either so busy building what we talked about that they're not sure, and then they kind of have, but we're so one of the other guys is my lead guy. We're kind of constantly thinking about, because we actually build things on our own, right? So Boot builds things, even a couple of school guys have their own projects, right? Of things that are even shipping and that sort of stuff. Or I'm like, hey guys, what if we came up with something that helps solve this team problem of ideation so that everybody feels comfortable throwing things in and that somehow we figure out how to percolate them and work on them? Because I think it's a hard problem, right? It's, for me, honestly, this is the thing I constantly have, wake up at 3 in the morning on and like kind of like shit, like I'm out
Isn't
of
that
ideas.
what you call backlog grooming, when you get the team together and flesh
Yeah, so if they get into the habit of using the tool like that, I think we might get more of it. It tends to be things that we need to do that slough off, become backlog, versus freshness, maybe what you. So I agree that that's one way of doing it, and I've tried to like, hey guys, can we do more of that? People just kind of look at me like, isn't there enough to do? Like, so it's just something I grapple with, because I think that like, I don't think I can always have the ideas. I think that's really hard to do, and it stresses me out, right? So, and I also think that, maybe I do, because that's the point of these positions, but it's a struggle sometimes. But if you look out there, like, because I've tried all the tools. I mean, you name them, I'm sure I've downloaded the Brain and Think, and like, they all get deleted like 2 days later.
Pizza and whiteboards.
Yeah, and that's one of the bones we have. There's not enough whiteboard space. And is that getting fixed?
I put a 36-foot whiteboard in my studio, my main office.
Can't we just put in for one and take over the whole hallway?
And then I take pictures, and I store all the ideation pictures, because I work on the ideation side mostly, right? So I use a lot of whiteboard, I shoot a lot of pictures, I store the pictures in Evernote so that I always have them, but then I also print, because I'm still very analog. And then our whiteboard has magnetic behind the writing surface, and then I keep things up on there so that people can constantly come at,
Just move into his
edit,
office.
pull them down, right? Sticky notes, the whole thing.
So I think one of the things is go back to your point about the quick hit. It's this idea that ideas are quick hits. They're not.
Yeah, and believe me, I struggle with that all the time. Where I'm like, God, if we could do this one feature, we're gonna rock. And like we do the one feature, I'm like nothing rocks. And I get all. I've done it a few times. It's cool already. Where we've had like these, like, hey, stop the presses. I know you're.
Well, that's one of the worst things when you take money, and you get a VC there, and he's expecting you somehow or another to go. Oof.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I just heard something
rabbits a week,
Einstein was saying, and I'll paraphrase, right? 50 minutes to frame the problem and 10 minutes to solve it, right? Which is constantly kind of being a very right?
Yeah.
It's. I think this is in any kind of situation. This is the most daunting problem where how do you come up with new things? How do you come up with things that you can convince yourself that they're worth doing, right?
I don't know.
And I like it, and that's like you were saying. You go to Starbucks or you go here and there, and that's one of the things everyone tries to do, right? Change their environment or change the music they're listening to, or just do different things. One of the things that I read this book called Shape of Design last year, and it's one of the best books I've read recently. And one of the things he said is, ask different questions. We've been taught ask questions, but he's like, ask different questions. Don't ask how, ask why, or it's just different tools. But yeah, it's a problem, right? In any kind of product or services situation. I mean, I've got that problem where I'm working on with different clients all the time, and you don't even realize, but you just keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, and it's very easy to just stop thinking about how to do new things. Right?
Yeah,
but you're fighting your base nature. I mean, we're programmed to spot patterns, right?
Yeah.
And exploit that.
Yeah.
That's what we do. And so you're fighting right at the base of the skull here.
It's just tough because I don't think and I there are no new ideas, right?
That's
like
true.
everything is somewhat evolving, or you do it better, or it's novel, or it's executed better. So I don't expect to have the and all the books have the light bulb, bing, like come on, that's silly, right? But you do kind of want to in your space or your industry, the thing you're working on, kind of turn something on that where people are delighted by it, right? That's what I'm trying to create, right? So it may not be that it's an invention, but it could induce delight, right? And I think it was Jeffrey Payne that I've been tweeting today. He's the guy, not JFDI, the Golden Gate
Ventures.
Yeah, he said he had a good thing that because I've been harping on all the press for these. App A got 100,000 downloads. Like, yeah, what does that mean? Did 100,000 people log in? Do they have 50,000 concurrent users? I mean, no offense, is the crappiest statistic ever. It doesn't mean anything. And by the way, 100,000 actually isn't a lot. Like, no offense, right? So I'm like, where's, so we got in this argument with this guy, and I said, like, come on, people, like, aren't there metrics that we can relate to? Now, granted, if you're a private company, and to be honest, like, if someone said to me, how many users does school have? I'm not gonna tell you. I don't need to tell you, right? I mean, the beauty of I'm not out there trying to do anything other than build a business. And by the way, our internal metrics, I told people, are free conversion to paid. And you're never gonna hear that number until we go public, right?
Yeah.
So I have nothing I can share with you that's of value. So then the guy that I'm tweeting on the report is like, well, the reporter's like, we gotta write something. Well, I'm like, you could choose the higher road and not do the link bait article that says, App A got 50,000 downloads. Like, nobody cares, right? So, I've tried to like relate to these metrics, and I was arguing with Jeffrey, and Jeffrey said, we need other metrics. Like, and one of them he was saying was like, what do your users feel? Like, is there but I'm trying to induce delight, right? And so it may not be that that's an invention, but it is a feeling I have to do that, right?
I mean, delight's the most difficult thing in the world.
Yeah, it is. It's hard. It's hard.
What's the difference between Abbey Road and some
It
Rainbow
is.
Six stuff?
But I think it's kind of like what drives product people. Like for me, I mean, it took me many years actually to come to grips with product people or product person. And I'll be honest with you, I wish I could code, because if I was as good as coder as what I think my internal ideation capabilities actually are, I would be lethal, right? I mean, that's what I tell myself anyway. I'm not. I'm a terrible coder. I'll spend so much time doing it to try to make it work that I've wasted so many days on, like, dude, it's hello world but it blinks. Like it's a waste of my time, right? So one of the things that I was actually
It still gives you a kick.
yeah, it gives me a kick. I was actually kind of happy to like be okay with being a product person, right? I just kind of had to tell it's an okay thing. I understand technology. I get the code. I understand a lot of the underworking. Do I want to write it? No. I also get what I think marketing is and branding and how to instill delight. I get customer service. One of the things I keep harping on all the local scene is like, go crazy with customer service.
Yeah.
Like, if you really want to put your mark on things, go crazy with customer service. So people don't believe this. I answer all the support emails myself, still today. Now, it's not an overwhelming amount of work, but honestly, the customers probably don't. It's whenever I kind of, they're getting replies from my iPhone. So one of the things that we've done is our entire dashboard plus analytics plus admin works on an iPhone. So I made the guys build it that way. So I can log into Spool with my super user account. I can pull your records. I can see what movie you're looking at. I can see that your payment thing didn't work, everything. And then, so when the users email, it automatically puts their ID in it, even if they don't see it. I write back, from my iPhone. And I always say, thanks for the email. It's first line in all my emails, even if it's a complaint. And you'll be amazed at the violent, kind of vehement, like, we hate you things, that with one innocuous reply, where I still say thanks for the email, that they're like stunned that people are even, most people don't respect, I mean, this is the thing I'm actually really stunned with. Our industry has created a world where most people don't expect report requests to ever be replied to, unless you're a paid thing or something like that. So what we've done is we reply to every single thing. Every tweet, every email, always gets a reply. Normally it's from me. And I usually tell people who I am. And it's funny because people are like, I'm talking to the product guy, they're like, hey, I hate that button. I'm like, well, let's talk about it, right? And I've gotten into some, not arguments, just some really healthy discussions with customers. And then now some of them email me back, because I reply with Michael at Spool. I don't really care. So some people just send something to me rather than the support email. And I think it works. I think we're known already for having real people, namely me, answer something, and that people are interacting with the company. I think you have to pick something, right, that you want to emote to your people, right? And
I wouldn't disagree at all. I think customer service here sucks. It's
but
non-existent.
it's non-existent for most places, right? And I experience it myself, right? With I use a product, and that's why I've been delighted with like Spotify. I take them tasks on Twitter all the time, and they tweet me right back with, you should try this, because they have crappy apps. They have great service with crappy apps, right? I mean, the radio function works like 1 out of 10 times on iOS, right? Just sits there and spins. And so, but we're all attuned to really not anymore getting support unless you paid or picked up the phone. So my personal frustration with that means that I don't ever want anybody from Spool to feel that, right? Now, how will we scale this? I'm not sure. But the funny thing is, you hear from guys like CD Baby and John, they all kept answering their own support emails for a long time. Now, maybe it becomes a bigger portion of my day, but we're getting a lot of feedback that way, right? So,
that's pretty
so when you say talk to customers,
yeah.
I'm kind of doing it that way, right? So I think, support's a big deal. I think it's forgotten about a lot in this industry. I also feel like, we see some really nasty stuff out there with companies in competition, right? And one of the things I keep telling my staff and myself is, I'm taking the high road. Like, it might take me longer, it might be more painful. So like, we've just seen some nasty stuff in the Google Play store, right? With like, people do really precise keyword spamming, so they put the name of your app in their app and in their keywords. So then when you search on Google Play, it's there. Now I could turn around and do the same thing so that like 2 can play that game. I just don't want to, right? So I also think that people have choices to take, a more moral high road for how you might accomplish a task that you might be a little bit more proud of, right? And I think that's important too, because you can do some really nasty things in apps, right? You can grab location when you're not supposed to be. You can actually, with Android, get people's phone logs. I mean, it's crazy. Like, we've seen some samples of it. So, and actually, people use these techniques to market, supposedly, right? So I think that customer service and like what we have with our company is you can delete your account, and we delete it. It's gone, right? So for paid stuff, we've had to store some things because we might get audited or something like that. But if you come to Spool and you use Spool and you hit the delete button, it's gone, right? We've got a few people like, can you bring it back? Like, dude, you killed it. It's gone. Like, if you wanted your record off our thing, we actually get rid of it, right? And we don't do the Mark IV deletion. We get rid of it, right? We do a big kind of, fortunately it's too big because we're in a lot of spaces, but we try to put in our terms of service all the little, I wish we could do the very simple thing, but it's hard when you do credit cards and stuff. But I just think there's a lot of high roads people could take and they'd be really proud of what they're making, and then it might take you longer, it might be harder, but you just feel better about it, right? So like, I love some of Derek Sieber's stuff, like CD Baby, some of his stories of how he answered support things, and like when you bought something, he'd write these really funny personal emails to it. People didn't know it was him, and then people like copy these things and they send them around. I mean, it's amazing marketing, right? Like,
Can't buy it.
you can, but you just don't see a lot of that, right? I don't think. I think it's something people could do, right? Because if you think about any of the things you guys are working on, you probably have a customer service element, right? I'm sure, right? Or a customer, right? So I think it's an easy one to kind of say like, okay, I'm going to be super awesome at that, right? Like, and that doesn't mean going and hiring someone who doesn't know what they're doing to answer emails, right? Because I've seen people think that's the solution. So, and what I do is when I know I'm having a busy couple days, or it's gonna be, or I actually want to take a couple days off, I actually take the emails still, and then I forward them to the person who can answer the question the best, which is usually one of our engineers. So I'm like, the guy had a payment problem, I forward it to the dude working on the payment system. I said, answer this customer's email. And the first time, a couple times they're like, you want to help me type the reply? And I'm like, dude, just go in and say you're so-and-so, and you could see that their Amex failed because they didn't type something in wrong. Just tell the guy, right? And then they all kind of like, hey, they wrote me back. They all have these like stories of like, the customer wrote them back. It's like,
That's unheard of. Open just like a distance.
I just don't go. I'm big on communication skills anyway. I won't hire people that can't, I mean, the little guy sits there and like that. I'm never gonna hire him anyway, even if he's wicked smart. Because if I can't communicate with him, I'm gonna get super frustrated. So people know from my interview process, like if you're kind of sit there and can't talk, it's not gonna go anywhere because I have to talk, right? So all my people, I'm like, you have to be able to relate to people. So I just force them to answer emails, right?
All right, I think we had a very good interactive session. Questions coming here, and I didn't even have to like call for questions or even plan people around to ask questions. So it was
They were planned.
they were planned.
That was $50.
Yeah. So anyway, we had a great session over here with Mike today, and so you have some still. Go ahead, Tom.
Can we have a quick introduction of people? Maybe you tell about yourself, what you're doing, and what you need help with. So you do yourself to others. It will be useful for us than networking session later.